Can I get all the Cuphead achievements I never obtained on my first playthrough? The quick answer is yes, but this was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Before embarking on this quest, I had around 44 hours on the game and I beat it multiple times, but most of it was just your average playthrough with a few speed races with friends. With my current playtime, I got 30 of the 42 achievements. That said, let's get straight into it. The first achievement on the list was Coffers Full, which required you to get every coin in all the running guns. Now it may be surprising I didn't have this from just playing the game, but I really didn't like running guns even so that I completely skipped one on my first playthrough and just went straight to Inkwell Hell. Now the one running gun I didn't have all the coins for is the one I skipped, which is Rugged Ridges in Isle 3. This was fairly simple to do as I just hit the level a few times, I got every coin, and beat the level. First achievement already down in less than 10 minutes. The next achievement on the list was Checkmate, which you get after completing the King's Leap by beating all the chess-themed bosses only using the parry gimmicks each one had. This minigame was actually something I didn't do on my first playthrough, but I feel like I should have done this because it was pretty fun. It seems I attempted the King's Leap before this though, as the first boss I had to face was the Knight since I already beat the pawns a while ago. The Knight took a few tries to get down, and also I was kind of rusty as I haven't played in a while. I just had to relearn his openings, which is to parry once at the quick slash, parry once at the dash, and then parry twice when he did the wide upward slash. After that I moved on to the Bishop, which took 3 tries. It was also pretty straightforward. Just run through the candles and then parry him after extinguishing them all, rinse and repeat. After the Bishop was the Rook, which in my opinion was the hardest one. This one took a lot longer than the other two before, as a lot of the time I would just get hit by the sparks he shoots at you while trying to land, or I'd try to parry something and just miss. I think I got it down pretty quickly though once I figured out that after you land a parry with mid chalice, you could just jump and parry again with the same head I just launched at the boss. My main issue was that I would parry ahead but it wouldn't go far enough to hit the boss. But after doing the double jump to parry ahead twice, it goes really far and it made the fight much easier. And finally, the last challenger of the King's Leap was the Queen. The fight was pretty easy, I just kept having to bad aim with the cannons. I just kept shooting and she eventually fell. Dodging the rating jewels was a little annoying but not too difficult. And that's the Checkmate achievement, another one down. Next I went for the King's Admiration achievement, as I might as well get this since I just beat all the chess bosses for the first time. This achievement required you to best the King's Gauntlet, which was just all the bosses from King's Leap back to back to back without dying. I got this in 2 tries, because I just had a ton of practice on the chess bosses right before this, and even though all of them back to back may seem difficult, you get reset to full HP at the start of every boss, so it really wasn't that bad. I had some close calls, but I got the job done. Third achievement down. Next, I tried to get the achievement Butter and Eggman, which you get for buying everything in Pork Rind's shop, since the king rewards you with many coins for beating the leap. I had 3 things left to buy, which was the Perry Sugar and both Heart Charms. Now, I mainly bought the Perry Sugar, but I thought the Heart items were actually permanent buffs to your character and not charms to equip, so I didn't actually buy them yet because of the attack debuff they give. However, I did realize this later in the video and I do buy them, but for now let's move on to the next achievement. So the next achievement on the list was Mayor, which entailed getting an A rank on or higher on every Isle 3 boss, which I was surprised I didn't have yet. And even more surprisingly, the only boss I didn't have an A on was Werner Werman, a boss I think is kinda easy. So I just went to his house and fought the boss again. This took 2 tries as I sold the first try by going for parries in the first phase when I used the catapult and I took damage. But after a clean second try, Mayor was mine and we move on. Logically, following A ranking every boss in Isle 3, I went for the Ranger achievement, which you get for A ranking every boss in Isle 4 with the DLC. Now these were the bosses I played the least, so I assumed I would have to do a few of them, but it turns out I was only missing 1 A rank like on Isle 3, but this time it was the Moonshine Mob. This took a few tries, as I wasn't very good at this boss, and on my first attempt I didn't bring Roundabout, which I could combo with Miss Chalice's Invincible roll to completely trivialize the second phase. But after that adjustment, it was just a matter of retrying till I got a good attempt. 5th achievement down. Alright, now for the 6th achievement, we have the first truly difficult task I had to do in this video. Cook to Perfection, which you get by S ranking any boss in Isle 4. So like I previously mentioned, Isle 4 holds the bosses I have the least playtime on by far, as my extent of this Isle was just going through it on my first playthrough and calling it a day. I never even did them on Expert. So I looked at my boss list and thought to just try to S rank the boss I have the highest grade on, as surely that makes the most sense. But after getting smacked by Mortimer Freeze, I decided to do some research and look up what people thought was the easiest boss to S rank on this Isle. The most common answer I found was Glumstone the Giant. Now this was the boss I got the S rank on, but holy was this hard. It took around 50 minutes as I haven't played this boss in a while, then I had to practice it enough to S rank. My weapon of choice was Crackshot, spread, and I pretty much only use crack shot. I'll just break it down phase by phase, starting with phase 1. So I had to pretty much no hit this phase every single time. Usually if an attempt didn't make it past phase 1, I just reset because it got hit. I need the HP for the later phases so I could have some wiggle room with taking a hit. Also, I had to end this phase with a shield pile activated, which was Miss Chalice's super art too. This super allows you to take a free hit, which is very useful as I needed to survive with at least 3 HP to get the S rank. If I didn't have the shield pile for phase 2, it would most likely end in a failed attempt. So also in phase 1 is where I got all the parries for the S rank, as the pink clouds weren't that hard to parry once you get it down, and it also gave me more cards to get the super shield pile activated faster. The hardest things to dodge in phase 1 were the geese flying and the gnome with the hammer. The geese flying was a skill issue regarding my movement. I just wouldn't get to the lower pillar in time and I would take a hit. But I resolved this by using Miss Chalice's invincible roll to roll onto the lower pillar in time. But that gnome, my god, this guy made me crash out a lot. I would either be focusing on landing parries or the geese or just dodging the clouds, and this guy would just drink an invisibility potion and sneak under me and break my kneecaps. I think he ended the most runs, to be honest. I just had to be hyper aware and make sure to shoot crackshot bullets backwards to clear out the hammer gnome and other gnomes at the bottom that shoot projectiles. Now for the second phase, probably the hardest phase with the most going on. He makes his hands into sock puppets and throws a giant ball at varying angles between them. And while having to dodge that, there are gnomes popping out of the ground under you and launching up into the air and landing, which can also hit you. This phase was rough. This is why I needed the shield pal and all 4 hit points from phase 1, as I needed some safety nets with either getting hit by a gnome jumping out between my legs, or while trying to dodge the gnomes and I get hit by the ball. Sometimes I wouldn't even know what I got hit by. Eventually my strategy was to stand right below one of his hands and shoot straight up to get the most DPS out of my crack shot. And also I was on a time limit of 2 minutes, and attempts where I just went through the whole boss fight for just practice the later phases, it went over 2 minutes. So yeah, just stand under the right hand and strafe and dash accordingly to either dodge the gnome underneath or the ball. And then the third phase, probably the easiest part, Lumpstone eats you and then you have to fight him inside his stomach, while jumping on skeleton platforms that fall down and dodging fried chicken and darts. This phase is really easy because Crackshot just homes onto the boss so I don't have to aim, and the projectiles that are shot at me are pretty telegraphed and you have a lot of time to dodge them. However, even though this phase was really easy on paper, I sold her a few times because of the nerves that I was about to win, and messed up hearing the skeletons to remake all the platforms or I got hit by a random dart. But finally, after numerous attempts, we got it done and Cook Profession was completed. I'm so glad it was just one boss in L4, as some of those bosses I don't think I could ever S rank. Okay, after that really hard achievement, let's get back to the easy ones, as I went back to buy out Pork Rind's shop after I learned that those hearts were just equipable charms. After buying the twin hearts, I was still missing 3 coins to buy the last charm, so I quickly searched up all secret coins in Cuphead. The 3 coins I was missing was the secret coin on Aisle 2 behind a cart after Beppy, the secret coin on Aisle 4 which you get for walking behind Pork Rind's shop and following the path till you get the coin, and a coin you get for talking to this gingerbread girl on Aisle 2 after you find the secret path behind the aisle. She gives you a coin. I never knew she did this, and I don't think I ever would have talked to her, so yeah, she gave me the last coin, and I also got the achievement High Roller for getting every coin, so this was a 2 for 1. I bought the last thing in the shop, and there we go. Actually, before I did the coin hunt, I did the Hardy achievement for having 9 hearts at once. Not sure why I didn't just go for the shop achievement after buying the twin hearts, but whatever. To get this achievement, you have to equip the heart ring and play King Dice. You have to get every hit point from his bonus tiles, and also get all the parries required to get all 3 hearts from the heart ring. After all this, you should have 9 hearts. It's a much easier way to do this, though, by using the Jimmy Wish, which doubles your HP, and you equip Miss Chalice, who starts with 4 HP, so you have 8 HP at the beginning of a level. Then you just go into King Dice, roll for a heart tile, and you get Hardy. But I used all my Jimmy Wishes already, pretty much all of them by accident just by spinning in circles and popping them completely accidentally. So I attempted the King Dice route for a bit, but I just couldn't do it. I would either get hit, get unlucky heart tiles, or choke on parries against King Dice. So I did the smartest thing I could think of. I loaded another save, used the wish, and did the easy way out. I could have saved a lot of time, but oh well, there we go, Hardy achievement unlocked. Alright, after Hardy and the coin achievements, there are only 3 achievements left, which were all hidden achievements added to Google. The last ones were definitely not the least, as all 3 were fairly difficult. They are as follows: Pacifist, P rank all running guns; Paladin, obtain the Divine Relic; and Bravo Zulu P26, defeat a boss with mini plane only. The first thing I did was to get started on the Pacifist achievement. Now to get a P rank on a running gun, You have to go through the entire running gun level without shooting a bullet or defeating an enemy. This was the challenge I was dreading the most, as I really didn't like running guns, and now I had to do them in a much harder way. I got started with the first running gun in the game, Forest Follies. This P rank took an embarrassingly long time, as for some reason my brain lacks some neurons and I kept getting hit to either sunflowers, acorns, or blue guys, which all should have been fairly straightforward to dodge. Well, anyways, I got the P rank after a few tries, and for this P rank I used Miss Chalice, but this was the only one I used her for, as other charms are just way better for getting P ranks. I also just barely made it out at 1 HP, which is fine, because as long as you beat the level without killing anything, that's all you have to do. After P ranking Forest Follies, I got off and came back the next day, and switched it up by going for the Divine Relic instead. On second glance, I think this would be the easiest one to get out of the remaining three. The Divine Relic you just need to defeat bosses with the Cursed Relic equipped, that you get from the Secret Demon and Angel boss fight, which I already did. I equipped the relic and first tried to do the whole DLC with it, but I did not know the effects it had on me. For starters, I just always start the fight with 1 HP, which already made me go back to the base game. But also, every time I stopped shooting with one weapon by either dashing or using a super, I would randomly switch to another weapon regardless of the ones I had equipped. I had no idea I did this and thought it was a pretty cool mechanic. So to get the Divine Relic, once again, you just have to defeat bosses with the Cursed Relic equipped. So I just ran back to the start of the game and just played all the bosses in order on regular mode, as you get no bonus from XP. I beat Owl 1 and like half of Owl 2, and boom, Divine Relic acquired, and also the Paladin achievement. Only 2 achievements left, but they were not an easy task. By the way, if anyone is wondering what the Divine Relic does, it basically gives you the abilities of multiple different charms at once, which allows you to regain health on parries, Smoke Dash every other dash, Whetstone Parry, which lets you parry your parry be a hit on every other parry, and have a Nerf Coffee effect, which passively charges your super cards. Never really used it after this, but it was a pretty cool concept. After that, I went for the Mini Plain Bullets only boss achievement. And first, I thought to do it against the Jimmy the Great, but that didn't go very well, so I eventually decided on Calamaria. The achievement didn't require difficulty, so I just put the boss on simple and went in. Now, even though it was on simple, this achievement was still pretty hard. So for starters, I didn't have very much range, so the fight just took longer because whenever she's attacking, I just have to sit back and dodge, at which I cannot do any damage. But luckily, on simple, her attacks were very easy to dodge, or so I thought, because I just kept getting hit even though I shouldn't have been. I'd say the most annoying thing was the turtle, because usually while the turtle was shooting his cannonballs, she would also combo with another attack. But even so, it shouldn't have been that hard to dodge, I was just being bad at the game. Also on simple, there isn't even a fourth phase, so after phase 1 and 2 is just her Medusa and Eels phase. I pretty much needed to no-hit the boss until the third phase, as I needed to be able to take hits when I got frozen, because I could not break the Eels in time with the mini plane shots. Also, sometimes I could go above her to dodge her gaze and then do some damage, but pretty much if I didn't have full health, I would not win. Also, while mashing to get out of the stone, I would sometimes shoot regular shots by accident, which I would just have to restart. Another issue was that I had to hold shift the entire time to be mini. My pinky was actually dying, so I figured out if you hold the lock on button while playing in a plane fight, you just go mini as well, so I just used that instead, which was 0 for me. So it just took a while to get a good run where I had full HP for the third phase. I don't think I need to mention the second phase at all because it's probably her easiest phase where she just cycles fish and those attacks are very easy to dodge. But yeah, after 40 minutes of trying to get the assist achievement, it was down to the last one. Now the hardest achievement to get in Cuphead in my opinion, we have the Pacifist achievement to P-rank all running guns. This achievement by far took the longest of any achievement in this video, it took around an hour and a half in total. So for starters, I used the Smoke Bomb Charm for most of these running guns, because it is really good for just teleporting past enemies. So after P-ranking Forest Follies, we have the second running gun of Owl 1, Treetop Trouble, which is probably the easiest one of all 6 to P-rank. I could just wait out or smoke bomb past the woodpeckers and rolling bugs in the first part. The second part was probably the hardest part with the flying bugs and the tree stumps. The flies probably caught me the most, but once I got past them, the third part was just a breeze. Just doing some parkour till you get to the dragonfly and you could just jump and dash over him. Next up is Funfair Fever, which was another one that wasn't that bad. I could smoke bomb past pretty much everything, the balloons, the rolling guys, and even the cannon and the robots. However, there was this large machine guy I actually did not know how to get past him without taking a hit. So I just made sure to have good health for this guy just to use a heart to get past him. Then smoke bomb over the pretzels and jump and dash over the hot dog. Which I messed up one time of course. But that wasn't too bad, maybe this wasn't going to be as hard as I thought. And after that we have Funhouse Frazzle. I'd say this was the first difficult one. To beat this one I had to swap off Smoke Bomb for the Twin Hearts charm just because extra HP was needed, as I was getting hit on a lot of the jumps. But I did attempt this with Smoke Bomb a lot though. On the winning attempt I just maneuvered past the cars and the ducks while getting hit once, then ran through the wall's mouth. The second part, I did get hit twice by the rocket guys, who were very annoying I must say. But after, I just had to do the parkour with the tuba guys, which I messed up a lot, and is why I had to bring the extra hit points. I was actually planning to tank a hit and go through the wall's mouth with iframes, but I managed to do it cleanly without getting hit at the end. Twin Hearts was a good choice there, as I brought it down to my last heart by the end, but not even close, and we move on to the next. Now this is truly where the suffering began. Perilous Piers, the worst level in the game by far. I actually hated every second of this. So Smoke Bomb makes this level 100 times easier, and it still took me like 30 minutes. You might say, oh wow, only 30 minutes. Couldn't have been that bad. And you're probably right, but I do not care. This level made me so mad I was actually going to quit. The amount of times I just got hit and had to retry because I needed as much HP as possible for the last phase was insane. And they've only been 30 minutes, but the attempt count was probably crazy high since it just restart after 10 seconds many times. Now Smoke Bomb makes this entire running gun until the end a lot easier. You can teleport past pretty much every enemy with the exception of the crabs. A lot of the times I got hit here was because I was rushing and ran into something, or I just TP'd into like a flying fish or a spiky ball. After that, we have the part with the lobster running around, while you have to teleport to dodge the bubbles and do some parkour as well, which Smoke Bomb also lets you just teleport through everything. But the final phase is the hardest part, and the only reason why this level was so hard. Basically, you are riding an octopus which you have to parry to shoot out a cannonball to break obstacles in the water. While you are on this very small platform, you have to dodge this oyster or climb whatever shooting pearls at you, while getting bombarded by shrimp, and this was unnecessarily hard. At the very least, you could use the parry on the octopus as a movement option to jump over the shrimp, which I did a lot. But this grind was so rough, as every time I had a close attempt, about 10 attempts of just failure early on in the level followed, which was crushing because I definitely should not have been getting hit early on, when I could literally trivialize the level with Smoke Bomb. But I finally got it done, and I think every time I got to the octopus, I was moving a lot, but I just needed to keep my movements minimal and only strafe for jump when I needed to. On a lot of the failed attempts, I would just be spamming A and D to move left and right constantly, and sometimes I'd even just fall off the octopus and miss a heart. But after P-ranking Perilous Piers, the last but not least running gun was to P-rank Rugged Ridges. This running gun is probably the one I'm least familiar with, as I actually just completely skipped it on my first playthrough as I said earlier. The hardest part was just the beginning part, with the guys throwing their pickaxe at you. This just kept hitting me and I would be one shot going into the later parts of the level. This one took around 25 minutes. I ended up using the twin hearts instead of the smoke bomb because I just couldn't survive till the end. I'd say this level works in reverse to Perilous Piers, where it actually gets easier with every part of the level, the hardest part being the first part, and running away from the giant being the easiest part. The elevator part and the part with all the walls was also pretty easy once I knew what to do, and a P rank on Rugged Ridges was secured. And finally, the 40-second achievement obtained, I can finally say I've gotten every achievement in Cuphead. This game is such a good game that I recommend to everyone to give a try. It is especially fun with a friend, as my first playthrough I kept mentioning was done entirely with my friend, except for some running guns with he didn't want to do, so I just did them myself. I even did the DLC with them entirely. So yeah, that's every achievement in Cuphead. This was pretty rough, but surprisingly fun, and maybe I'll do something like this for other games in the future. Thanks for watching till the end. Maybe like or subscribe, and have a good one. Peace.